Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So today I'm going to share with you some no BS tips on how you can lose weight. And not how you can lose weight, how you definitely will lose weight if you follow the principles that I outline in this video. Alright, so as many of my viewers know and people who come across this video, you're probably going to be of the survivalist or prepper mindset, but chances are this video will have more universal appeal. So this video is geared towards people who desire to lose weight, and emphasis on desire, because if you're happy with who you are, then I'm not here to judge you and tell you what to do. It's not my place or even my prerogative to necessarily try to convince people of what they should be or shouldn't be doing with their lives. But one thing that does irritate me is that when I see people who want to commit to that, who want to lose weight, who want to be in better shape, and they go about doing it in entirely the wrong way. And I guarantee you, if you follow all the principles that I lay out in this video, I know this kind of sounds like one of those infomercials, but I guarantee you that's not what this is. If you follow the principles that I lay out here, you absolutely will get into the best shape of your life. There's a huge market that surrounds weight loss, which I am not a part of and which I do not condone in the least, because everything you need to lose weight is right there with you where you're at right now. So number one, if you're over 20 or 25% body fat and your purpose, your sole purpose is to lose weight and to get in shape, you have absolutely no business prioritizing resistance training over cardiovascular training. Doing resistance training, which is just lifting weights, which is what I see a lot of personal trainers having people do, which is just totally asinine. If you're a person who's, say, 250 pounds and you have 25% body fat, well, 65 pounds of that is going to be fat. So you're carrying around a 65-pound weight on your lean mass frame day in and day out. That's the weight right there. You already have the resistance weights built in. Unless you're doing like high intensity training where you're training to failure and you're doing high repetitions, extremely low weight, and you're sweating your ass off constantly, that's the only way that you're going to lose a significant amount of weight doing that. What you need to do in order to lose weight is just sweat your ass off doing cardiovascular training. I don't care if it's riding a bike, I don't care if it's jogging at a 2-mile-an-hour pace. Whatever you can do to bring your heart rate up to a moderate level between, you know, depending on what your age is, you know, there's different age ranges. I'll post a graph here that shows, you know, what the optimal heart rate ranges are. And when I say cardiovascular, I should make it clear that I don't mean cardio. Cardio is actually commonly mistaken for fat burning, but what cardio is escalating your heart rate to a higher level in order to actually improve your cardiovascular capability. But we're just talking about fat burning. So what you want to do is to jog, run, bike, swim as long as you possibly can. I'm talking like 45 minutes to even 2 hours till you work up a sweat like you've never worked up before, of course within the parameters of what's suitable for you and your health. Now you might want to consult with a physician and all that. Look, hundreds of years ago there were no physicians, so yes, if you have a doctor that you trust, then by all means consult with that physician. Doing resistance training when you're that overweight is totally redundant and it's a waste of your time. You're not burning any calories when you do it. You are burning calories, but no more calories than you really would burn, you know, walking around the house and moving that weight that you're already moving. The thing that people get tripped up on is they hear these things like, oh, I don't want to lose muscle. You know, if you're 50 to 100 pounds overweight, you know how much muscle you already have under there from carrying that weight around? And I don't mean this in a disparaging way. I want you to be motivated to do this and have confidence in the fact that when you shred all that body fat off, there's going to be a very muscular person underneath there. Your body, in order to support all of that fat, has to build that muscle. So you have absolutely no business doing resistance training. You can do it, but do not prioritize it. It should only comprise maybe 20% of your training regimen until you're down to a reasonable body fat percentage between, you know, 12 to 17% body fat. Number 2 is a continuation of number 1, and I already said it before, you need to be absolutely drenched in sweat. If you do not leave that gym drenched in sweat, and I mean people are looking at you funny, they think you're gonna have a heart attack, that's how you know you're making progress. If you really want to annihilate that fat off your body and get in the best shape of your life, you need to sweat your ass off. That's all there is to it. And it's not rocket science. You do not need to spend hundreds, thousands of dollars on personal trainers. What you need to do is sweat, and you need to work. That brings me to number 3, which is you need to have a reason why you're doing all this. If you do not have a reason, you will absolutely give up. You need to have a why that surrounds your will to do it. Anybody can have the will to do something, but your will is like a very fast car. You know, you could have a Lamborghini, it could be decked out with all the trimmings, but if you do not have gas for that vehicle, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how much will you have. If you don't have the gas, if you don't have the reason, if you don't have the destination in mind, if you don't have the why, you're not going anywhere. That's the great thing about survivalism and emergency preparedness and the desire to be prepared and to be ready. The fear of not being able to do everything you possibly could is a great motivator to have. The desire to survive, the will to survive anything that life may throw at you, especially unforeseen circumstances in the case of a local, regional, or global disaster. That's what you need to be ready for. So you need to solidify your why. Why are you wanting to do it? Is it because you're getting older, you're getting up there in age? If you don't know, when you're over 40, your testosterone drops significantly. You need to hammer out whatever you can before the time that you're at least 60 in order to maximize your capabilities. If you're over 60, that doesn't mean that it's hopeless for you either. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do to reverse that process of aging. Not entirely, of course, but you can definitely put the brakes on it and you can still get in the best shape. It all depends on how hard you work. It has nothing to do with genetics, talent, or anything like that. It's about work, it's about will, and it's about having a why. The 3 W's: work, will, and why. Time is running out, okay? I don't care if there is no disaster that happens. Your life, as the saying goes, is running out 1 minute at a time. And if you're just pissing around, pissing in the wind, spinning your wheels, and it takes you a month to do what you could have done in a week if you would have just focused and committed yourself, and then you could have went on and moved on to other tasks. So stop spinning your wheels. You know, don't waste your time in the gym. Time is money. Time is very valuable, especially this day and age when we're all trying to better ourselves and prepare ourselves for what could potentially be coming down the pike. That brings me to number 5. So number 5 is this idea that people say, well, I went as long as I could, I did as good as I could, and most of the time it's complete BS. You did not push yourself as hard as you could. I did a video before about how most people give up long before they've reached their potential with anything in life. Most of us give up because it's too hard. If only we would just keep going, we would see the results. Most people, I would venture to say, can only push themselves when it comes to, you know, doing cardiovascular exercise, stuff that we're talking about, fat burning activities today, can only push themselves maybe to 25% of their capacity, because it gets too hard, because they succumb to that negative voice in their head that says you need to stop, or this is hard, or, you know, I don't know what thoughts are floating around in your head that say you can't do it and you can't go on. Definitely at some point there is going to be a voice in your head that says, okay, this is not good, your heart rate's too high, you need to stop. That's when you need to trust your intuition, but you need to discern between that voice in your head, which is just BS trying to get you to stop and procrastinate, that lazy voice in your head, and the voice which is saying, no, you can go further, but you're just choosing not to. Most people in life, I venture to say, don't push themselves even to 50% of their potential. Within reason, you want to be able to skirt that line of physical failure, because that's the only way you're going to maximize your potential. So you can't be afraid to push yourself at least over that 50% mark, because when the voice in your head says you have to stop, chances are you still got a whole lot of gas left in the tank. You're just getting bored, you're getting tired, you're making excuses, so you can go back and sit on the couch and, you know, just hope and pray and search around the internet for some other quick fix, but there is no quick fix. So another thing that really irritates me boils down to this: 90% of what you need to do in order to lose weight is so simple. It's do lots of cardio, sweat your ass off, and by cardio I mean fat burning exercise, and cut your calories to below the level of your basal metabolic needs. So calorie deficit and sweating your ass off. That's 90% of it. And if anybody who argues otherwise is probably trying to sell you something, or they're trying to sell you some of their expertise. That other 10%, all the specialized dietary programs and the exercise routines and, you know, the training schedules and all that fluff, that's for people who are athletes and they're training to be that 10% extreme caliber athlete, who you're not trying to be that person. So don't spend 90% of your time doing lateral dumbbell raises and, you know, standing on one foot, you know, jumping up and down. You know, screw that stuff. Spend 90% of your time on what's actually going to get you results. The reason why it's not popular, because that 90% is not marketable, because the people who are trying to sell you shit realize that you have everything you need right now where you are in your living room that it takes to lose weight. It requires absolutely nothing from the outside world. Most people spend 90% of their time on that 10% of stuff, which makes absolutely no difference whatsoever, because it's geared towards people who are really training to be athletes, and that's not what you're trying to do. So, and a lot of people do it because they want a quick fix. You know, they want to try to think about, oh, well, if I buy this supplement and if I go and I, you know, do lateral dumbbell raises for an hour and a half, and I get this person who sounds really intelligent and has a headset on and is doing all this other crazy stuff to tell me what to do, that's going to be the cure. That's not going to be the cure. Working your ass off is going to be the cure. There's a whole market that is built around this, which, when you know about fitness, is very sad to see so many people succumb to that. And it's because nobody wants to put in work. Think about the 100-meter dash. You know, 90% of us, if we wanted, could run the 100-meter dash under 15 seconds if we trained moderately for it. But very few, only a handful of people in the world can run it under 10 seconds. So the difference between 15 seconds and 10 seconds is that 10%. We don't care about that. We're not trying to run the 100-meter dash under 10 seconds. Some of you maybe, if you are, that's great. But the majority of us just want to run it under 15. If we can do that, that's great. Awesome. Focus on the 90%. Forget about the 10%. And you're going to see some great results. All right, so another thing that you're definitely going to want to do if you're serious about losing weight is counting your calories. Now, I don't really understand what the big deal about this is, why people don't like to do it. It really doesn't take a whole lot of work. You get yourself a $20 scale from Walmart or wherever you got to get it. You weigh the portions that you eat. It takes maybe all of combined 5 to 10 minutes a day. You add it up, you can write it down. It's written right there on the box. It's on the internet. There's apps for it, like the calorie counter that you can use. There absolutely is no excuse to not count your calories. If you are serious about losing weight, this is something you absolutely need to do, because you need to know your basal metabolic rate. All that means is that's the amount of energy that you burn if you didn't do anything. So once you establish what your base rate caloric needs are, you want to be in a calorie deficit. So you want to be eating a significant amount of calories less than that. Usually I will shoot for 500 calories less a day. What you should definitely do, and you should be mindful of, is that the hungrier you go to bed, the faster you're going to see results. You need to absolutely make sure that you're eating whole foods, fresh foods, healthy foods. That's not only going to help your body, that's going to help your brain function better. You'll notice that 2 hours after you eat healthy food, you think better. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I certainly have noticed that. Another thing you absolutely want to do is stay competitive, but you also want to stay humble. So it's a fine line between the two. So if you find yourself on the treadmill in the gym, say, if you're not outside running, if it's too cold out, whatever, and you find yourself on the treadmill, or, you know, I do this anywhere in life, I always try to outlast people. Not because I'm necessarily trying to outdo them or because I think I'm better than them in any way. Look, anything that I do, I first and foremost recognize As Immanuel Kant once said, that nothing human is alien to me. So anything I can do, someone else can do. So if I see somebody on the treadmill next to me, there's no way I'm giving up until that person gives up. I use it as a benchmark, and I'll even go further. Once they get up, somebody will get back on that treadmill, and I will try to outlast that person. Because if you cannot outlast somebody else under those circumstances, those controlled circumstances, how do you think that you're going to outlast somebody when the shit is hitting the fan and things are falling apart all around you? You need to try to push yourself outside of your comfort zone as much as possible now, so you get used to that feeling of struggle and hardship. Something else you need to do is you need to be able to self-motivate. So you need to have what we call internal locus of control or intrinsic forms of motivation in order to get where you need to go. If you're relying on a training partner or someone else to keep you motivated and to keep you pushing yourself beyond yourself, then you're going to rely on that same factor when it comes to being in a situation where there's adverse circumstances and the chips are down and you're perhaps backed up against the wall, or you're in a survival situation where resources are scarce and you need to struggle in order to survive in some way, shape, or form. Somebody is not going to be there to push you, so you need to get comfortable motivating yourself. Don't rely on other people to push you in the gym. That's fine once in a while to have a training partner there to help you out. Sometimes it can be more motivating, but if you rely on that and if you're dependent on that, something's wrong. It needs to come from inside if you want it to be lasting and meaningful. Another thing that's going to be very useful to you if you're planning on doing this endurance fat burning stuff is a stimulant and music. So stimulant meaning caffeine pills, pre-workout from a supplement store, something to that effect, and you're going to want music which syncs up with your heart rate. There's a reason why music is banned in a lot of official marathon races, is because it's commonly known that if you have music at a fast tempo, it's going, and at a consistent tempo I should say, it shouldn't just be like a bunch of mishmash of heavy metal once and then rap and then country or classical, whatever. It should be something consistent with a consistent beat. Typically I will listen to some kind of progressive trance music just because it's like a consistent beat. It syncs up with your heart rate and it gives you what you need in order to just get in that trance-like mode. You get that euphoric runner's high going on and you just go, and it's an adventure. The stimulant comes in. I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, you shouldn't use caffeine, it's not good for your heart and all this, and to that I just say, it's a lesser of two evils. Obviously, what's worse, being 100 pounds overweight or taking some caffeine and burning it off right away? And that's the thing, the better you get in shape and the more exercise you do, your body just starts to incinerate stuff. It's just going to totally annihilate whatever you put into it. So you're going to metabolize things faster, you're going to have more muscle. I'm not a proponent of getting really ripped and shredded either. If you look at me, I'm probably around 15-16% body fat right now. I'm getting to the point where I'm ready to cut. Every spring I do a cut, so I bulk up in the winter. It's for strategic reasons, it's for strength and muscle building reasons, and then in the springtime I always cut down. And for me, it's not a matter of am I going to lose the weight or I'm trying to lose the weight. Never mind trying. There is no frickin' trying when it's something so basic. You're either going to do it or you're not. You're going to commit to it or you're not. And there's no way I'm going to spin my wheels for a year trying to do what I could do in 2 months if I would just commit to it and not go to bed satisfied until I actually did it. By all means, click like, comment, subscribe if you found this useful. It really helps out the channel. If you did want to make a contribution to the channel, I do have a PayPal donation button there, and I also have a Amazon store that I recently put up, and all the money that I get from these videos goes back into the channel itself to make better videos. Right now I'm trying to save up for some better equipment, because right now I'm running on a shoestring budget here, and everything is amateur to the fullest. But I'm making it work, and hopefully once we take it up to the next level, things are going to get even better, because I have 1,001 ideas for videos, things that are hopefully going to inspire you to stay prepped, stay ready, stay fit, and just live long and prosper. So thanks for watching. Canadian Prepper out.
Check out the Canadian Preppers Network blog, an excellent resource for survivalists and preppers.